Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we are going to have a little chat about Eldar Exodites. And we're going to talk about this because Games Workshop have, I think it was a couple of days ago, they've shown off another bit of Beast Snaggas stuff. So we already had seen one model for the Orc Beast Snaggas, and then they showed us another one. And I put it to you, this is a general statement to Games Workshop, your CEO James Workshop of course, if you're going to give us a bit of snake bite action, show off a bit of the more primitive side of the orcs, I put it to you that you should do the same with the Eldar. Do something with Eldar Exodites, you absolute cowards. I double dare you. Let's see it. Let's see it. So before we get too far into the Exodite chat, here is the Beast Snagger that we saw before, and then there is also this lad as well, who has got a spear with rockets attached to it to make it more killy, which, you know, pretty standard orc material there. The thing that's interesting about these Beast Snaggers and the Snakebite clan, kind of by extension, is the rejection of the more complex orc technology. So, as they say down here, their appreciation for the old ways and their disregard for more complex orky technology leads many of the Snakebite clan to become Beast Snaggers. Now, obviously, you're going to be able to take these across all the different orc factions, and that's fine, but the interesting thing here is the focus on that more snakebite approach to warfare in the orcs. So as it says, they have a disregard for more complex orky technology. They are, even by the standards of orcs, snakebite orcs are pretty raw and primitive. They push the technology side of things away. They are a lot more in your face and just that much more savage. And I really like that aspect of them. I like that kind of more primitive approach. And this is what's brought on the thinking about Eldar Exodites, because what we have here is a 40k model. Both of these are. You know, there are little hints of technology to them. It's not like they are just interchangeable. They have, you know, that little bit of technological flair to their weapons, and even on this squig hog on this lad, or the piggly squiggly as he's otherwise known, there is a bionic leg going on there as well. So you have got hints of that overall orc approach to technology, but it is that much more stripped back and more reliant on just a natural creature as opposed to a mechanical construction. Which leads us neatly onto Eldar Exodites, because Exodites are one of the most interesting parts of the Eldar story. Essentially, you have a group of Eldar who could see the fall coming from a mile off and decided to abandon their homeworlds and settle elsewhere. They, along with the Craftworld Eldar, managed to avoid getting sucked into the giant hole of Nope, and the way that they wage war is maybe not different in terms of tactics, but in terms of what they have available, very different. So Eldar Exodites do not have access to the same level of technology, or at least the same amount of resources as the rest of the Eldar. So rather than seeing, say, a Wraith Knight, you would see some sort of natural creature from the world that Exodite lives on, strapped with a bunch of Eldar weaponry. It's a really cool way of doing it. It's a really fun and very different approach to the Eldar compared to what we see pushed all the time. What we see are very graceful fighters, we see very graceful vehicles, everything is wraithbone, everything is sleek and slick, and you've got this kind of a very distinct look to the Eldar. I mean, every faction in 40k has their own distinct look, but the Exodites are so wildly different to that. They rely on monsters and creatures and animals native to their, you know, chosen environment to be like the beasts of burden for their weaponry. Instead of having things like grav tanks, they may end up riding into battle on, for instance, stuff from the Lizardmen range. Something that you see fairly regularly when it comes to Eldar Exodite conversions are things taken from the Lizardmen range and converted up. So you'll have, instead of there being like a Wraith Knight, there'll instead be some sort of big T-Rex style monster with a bunch of guns strapped to it. In terms of transport, you might see, I can't remember what the name of it is, it's like the Stegosaurus type one, but with a platform for the troops to sit in as opposed to a floating tank. That kind of detachment from a really extremely advanced level of technology is one of the most interesting things about them. And if they're prepared to bring snakebite stuff to the fore, if they're prepared to bring the beast snaggers to the fore, ahead of a new box of just standard orc boys, which is admittedly what I would go for in terms of replacing things, as opposed to bringing out more cavalry, but that's a discussion for another video. If they're prepared to shine a light on this more primitive side of things, I would love them to do something where they shine that same light on another Xenos faction that has something kind of similar. Now, in the case of the Exodites, it is a lot more out of necessity than any kind of hankering for the old ways. They are very much a group that does not have access to the same level of resources as, say, Craftworld Eldar do. But there is a similar feel in terms of that mixture of just nature and the incredibly advanced weaponry that Eldar are capable of making. If you're going to do, you know, the marriage of technology and nature in form of things like squig hogs with bionic legs, surely we could have just a little white dwarf supplement or something for some Eldar Exodites, some rules to represent them on the tabletop, some little guide maybe to point out good ways to do conversions to properly represent Eldar units on the tabletop using the Exodite approach. Essentially, if you're gonna show that this side of these factions exist, there is one particular faction that has had its, you know, its fans and people who really love that side of them for so long and has not had anything in the way of models, it has not had anything in the way of rules. Like, it could be so easily expanded on, and it could give Eldar yet another bit of extra personality. Now, the thing is, of course, you don't even need to bring out a bunch of models. One of the things that I see most often when it comes to Exodite stuff is just the creativity of kit bashing. But it would be nice to have that kind of thing officially supported. It would be nice to have that aspect of the Eldar magnified and brought to people who perhaps don't even know that that aspect of the Eldar exists. I mean, 40k is growing at a ridiculous rate and has, over the last year, just got progressively more and more popular. There will be people who have started the hobby that will have no idea that there is an entire subset of Eldar who use essentially dinosaurs for transport, who strap bright lances to big lizards, and that is the way they fight. That's a shame. That's a genuine shame, because it's one of the coolest parts of that race, but it is something that is very heavily neglected. I mean, there's a long list of stuff that is neglected on the tabletop and in rules, but Exodites are one of the more unique parts of like the sci-fi setting that is 40k, and it's something that should be celebrated more. And frankly, if you're going to give us more snakebite stuff, if you're going to highlight that, you should do it with Exodites as well. You should absolutely do it with Exodites as well, and I'm telling you right now, people would love it if you did. So the ball is very much in your court, Games Workshop. I mean, see it. Just small set of rules, a white dwarf spread, perhaps a little thing putting together a bunch of people's amazing Exodite armies. Let's bring that more kind of hidden side to these races actually up to the forefront, so people can see the absolute spread of different styles and different approaches that they've got. Why not? Why not? You know people would love it, you should absolutely do it. My question to you is, do you have a favourite Exodite conversion? Do you have a favourite army that you've stumbled across? Do you have one yourself that you have done cool things with? Let me know in the comments down below. Would you like to see actual rules for the Exodites? Would you like to see them expanded on again and brought back into the forefront? Would you like actually to have a proper framework for how to build an Exodite army that plays up to the different approach they have to take? Let me know in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, Patreon, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like, don't click it if you don't want to. And as always, there's an affiliate link in the description which you can use to support the channel. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.